US lawmakers in the lower chamber of Congress are returning to Capitol Hill in an effort to avert a government shutdown. It follows an extended standoff among the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, with some demanding large spending cuts, including aid to Ukraine. Congress has until midnight to find a solution, or hundreds of thousands of federal workers will face unpaid leave. Scott Lucas is Professor of US and International Politics at Clinton Institute at the University College Dublin. Professor Lucas, thanks very much indeed for joining us. What's going on here? Is this Republicans making a point or simply making mischief?
It's a group of Republicans, a minority group of hardline Republicans and Trumpists who are willing to bring the system down so that they can try to achieve power and even control. So in part, these group in the House who have blocked both a budget for next year and then have blocked a short-term funding bill until November 17th. In part, of course, they're taking a shot at the Biden administration. We don't like your programs on the green economy, on climate change, on health care, on infrastructure. But in large part, they are holding the top Republican, the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, hostage and saying, you do what we want, or we will make sure that you have no power and we could even remove you from your office.
Well, I was going to ask about Kevin McCarthy and what kind of position he finds himself in, because it seems from the outside as if he's absolutely caught in the middle of a party loyalty crisis.
Well, in part, it's a loyalty crisis that he has caused, because after the January 6th coup attempt in 2021 by Donald Trump, Kevin McCarthy still pledged loyalty to Trump. He did that in part because he wanted to become House Speaker. But to do that, he had to get the support of the hard right and of the Trumpists, and they have exploited that. So he has probably three choices now. One is he could quit, he could leave, which I don't think he'll do. The second is he could give in to all the demands of the hard right and the Trumpists to slash social programs across the board, deep cuts, to cut U.S. support for Ukraine against the Russian invasion. Or the third alternative, the constructive one, is to actually work with Democrats to get a funding bill passed. But of course, as soon as McCarthy, either working with Democrats in the Senate or in the House, moves to get passage of that bill to safeguard the system, then the hard right and the Trumpists will accuse him of being a sellout and will come at him even harder.
I mean, Professor Lucas, perhaps you should remind us of the effects of shutting down government procedures in this way. It's quite serious, isn't it?
It is serious. Now, essentials, and I mean, the most essential of federal services, for example, the provision of Social Security, the provision of medical benefits through Medicare and Medicaid should continue. However, as you noted in your opening to start with, hundreds of thousands of federal employees will be out of work and will not be paid until this is resolved. Then you have the question of the delivery of other government services, whether you're talking about transport, whether you're talking about infrastructure, whether you're talking about federal provision to support, for example, clean water and clean energy. Just the basics of government on a day-to-day basis will be affected. The question is for how long? Donald Trump, who shut down the government twice with his temper tantrums, on one occasion did it for 6 weeks. Now the system was able to bounce back from that shutdown, but you really don't want to see a months-long shutdown for the United States at a critical time, not only for the country, but for the world.
Is this a flaw being exposed in the American three-part government system, in that the opposition can, with the right kind of muscle and the right kind of cheek, actually rewrite or change government policy even when they're in opposition?
No, I don't think it's a flaw in the system, that system of checks and balances that has served the U.S., I think, pretty well for almost 250 years. I think it is a recognition that there are some who will try to exploit the system, and you have to figure out how to make sure they do not get away with it. And what you have is really, I think, an unprecedented phenomenon in American politics, and that is you have a group of people who do not want to work within the system, who do not even want to work within the system to try to get some benefit for themselves. They will take the system down. They will bring it down. We saw some people try to take the American system down in January 2021. keeping Donald Trump in the White House. Now, they failed on this occasion. Here, they're using a mechanism which probably is more complicated, doesn't get as many headlines, but they're staging their own congressional coup attempt by using the budget as a hostage. The question is, will others stand up and make sure that they can no longer keep that hostage? And when will they do that?
Professor Scott Lucas, thanks very much indeed for talking to us this evening.
Thank you.